Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Carrot Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2007 coming-of-age comedy drama titled Juno. Now, Juno runs for 1 hour and 36 minutes long. It is directed by Jason Reitman, who of course is the son of well-known director Ivan Reitman. It is produced by Leanne Hawthorne, John Malkovich, Mason Novick, and Russell Smith. The script was written by Cody Daibo. No, I'm just joking. Actually, the author who wrote the script was actually named Diablo Cody. So don't worry, it's not written by Cody Daibo. Nothing personal, Cody. All right, the score was composed by Matteo Messina, the cinematography by Eric Steelberg, and it was edited by Dana E. Globerman. And the stars of the movie are Ellen Page, we have Michael Cera, we have Jennifer Garner, we've got Jason Bateman, Allison Janney, J.K. Simmons, Olivia Thirlby. We also have some cameo appearances from Rainn Wilson, Valerie, Tian, and Emily Perkins. So Juno stars Ellen Page as a young adolescent. She's 16 years old. Her name is Juno McGuff. She is a very witty character, and she is very cool in the ways of life, in her ways of life. She resides with her father, Mac, played by J.K. Simmons, and her stepmother, Bren, played by Allison Janney, and they live off a strict way in how she behaves and how she talks. She attends a school in Minnesota and has a laconic boyfriend named Paulie Bleecker, played by Michael Cera, who one day had some casual sex with each other, and it resulted in her getting pregnant. How does she take the situation? Well, shizzle my fizzle. Yeah, they speak in that kind of terms a lot of times in this movie. Not just the adolescents, but even the adults too, which at times feels a little bit unnatural. I mean, maybe you might probably hear this kind of talk from adolescents, but I don't know. Some parts of the dialogue just seem so unnatural for an adult to speak like that. And the adults tend to speak that way too, which seems weird. But still, nonetheless, I guess maybe they were just trying their ways to gravitate to the younger audience. So now she's pregnant. So now she's got choices, and she's got 3 choices to make. What are her options? Well, of course, obviously her first option was, obviously, she's not ready to raise a kid because she's practically a kid herself. She's only 16. She still goes to school, and she's just not ready for the commitment. So she could have just took the easy way out and got an abortion. But then something kind of changed her mind. I guess it was one of those anti-protesters who said something along the lines like, even newborn babies or pre-born babies have fingernails or something like that. I don't know. One of these anti-protesters said something that kind of made her change her mind. So I guess Plan A is out of the question. Obviously, Plan B is out of the question, which was to simply raise the child on her own, and Paulie Bleecker also take responsibility in contributing, and maybe even just them being young parents together, or just her raising the kid on her own. Obviously, Bleeker's not really quite ready for the commitment, but then again, at the same time, neither is Juno. So I guess raising the child was also out of the question. So what did she do? Well, she decides to go with the third option. Put this kid up for adoption. So now she's in a tough situation in which she must decide where to go from here. At first, Juno contemplates on aborting the child, but it is her friend Leah, played by Olivia Thirlby, who suggests getting Juno to find suitable parents who will adopt the child and to provide a loving home for him or her. The parents that Juno comes across from a newspaper are what appears to be a loving couple named Mark and Vanessa Loring, played by Jason Bateman and Jennifer Garner. And at first glance, it seems like the perfect choice, only to later discover that it's not all as simple as it comes. You see, apparently at first you may look at Mark and Vanessa as, they look like loving, caring people. I mean, obviously, Vanessa is definitely committed and is up to the task of raising a child. Mark, he seems like a pretty cool guy. I mean, the guy's self-employed. He makes a living out of writing jingles for commercials, which had paid him a really expensive-looking house, even though it's sometimes often questionable if he's the breadwinner, or is it his wife, Vanessa, who's, I believe, a lawyer, if she's the breadwinner. Either way, they live in a nice, rich, immaculate home. And yeah, Mark seems like a pretty cool guy. I mean, he's into things that are really close to my heart, like 70s rock music and old horror movies. But the question we often wonder is he also willing to commit in raising the child? Apparently, we come to discover that Mark isn't. Because even though he is a grown-up, but underneath all that adult body is still a child. He's not willing to commit. He's not willing to take the initiative and the responsibilities in nurturing the child. So now Juno is left in a crossroads. If these guys were the perfect choice to raise the child that's going to come out of her in 9 months. We go through the comedy and the emotional stages in Juno's life, and it is played out very effectively. She's got a lot of loving characters, and I don't think that in this movie there are any. One of the refreshing things is that there aren't any clear-cut antagonists in the story. And even though Mark does walk out on Vanessa, I don't want to paint him off as a complete antagonist either. The guy, some people are just not willing to commit. And it's not because, because he's an irresponsible man. No, it's because maybe child raising is not for everyone. That's his prerogative, I suppose. Not a responsible one, but I guess that's his choice. He's a grown-up. He can make his own decisions. Even if it's not the best. What can I say? I guess he would rather be an irresponsible doofus than a deadbeat father. Of course, he has his own ambitions. Is to, reunite with a group and form a rock band. But of course, his wife Vanessa thinks that it's never going to happen, that he's not going to be the next and that his group is not going to be the next Nirvana, and that he's not going to be the next Kurt Cobain. But I was still able to gravitate to this Mark Loring is because he has cool hobbies. But then again, underneath all those cool hobbies and all, he's still a freaking man-child. In the end, it actually turns out that, yes, Juno does get the baby out. It's a boy. Spoiler alert. And that Vanessa eventually raises the child on her own. So, at least the child has at least a loving, caring parent who will cherish her, who will be cherished and loved. And I guess you'll just have to take it from there. We wish them the best in the end. In fact, in this movie, I think we kind of wish everybody the best in the end. Even deadbeat Mark. What makes Juno definitely stand out is that it succeeds in remaining fresh, original, sincere, and characters that we can all relate to, with enough material and character development to get the audience invested into these individuals' lives. Under the direction from Jason Reitman, who previously directed Thank You for Smoking, has brought wit, humor, provocative scenes, and a coming-of-age journey where a young teenage girl now has the toughest decision she's ever had. And even as absurd and surreal as this story can be at times, the social commentary about teen pregnancy is handled with caution and care by actor Ellen Page, who was also nominated for an actor for her performance. Now, even though she was playing a 16-year-old in this movie at the time when this movie came out in 2007, she was actually 20 years old. But since she still kind of had the youthful appearance and the look of an adolescent, she still had the adolescent physicalities. I guess she could just clearly pass off as a teenager. I didn't even know she was 20 years old because she looks so much teenage-like. And that's not to say that when I turned 20, I was starting to look adultish. Hey, I'm 43 years old, and people still say, you don't look 43. I've always thought you were in your early 30s. And I'm like, thanks, but I can't lie to people about my age. I am 43. And it's just something I have to accept for at least the next 8 months till I go up another number. But she was convincing. Make no mistake about it. She looked like a teen. She acted like a teen. She also had cool clothes like a teen. Hell, one of the coolest props in this movie was that hamburger phone. Yes, she actually had a phone in her room, and it was shaped like a cheeseburger. That was like one of the coolest props. I really fucking gotta have that cheeseburger phone. Unfortunately, I just don't know where to get it. eBay, I guess? I don't know. Although the topic of teen pregnancy and the dominating performance by Ellen Page carries the film, the other cast and the crew deserve some special attention as well. Scriptwriter Diablo Cody, in her screenwriting debut, did an incredible job in providing real characters, facing real situations and speaking out towards youth about the struggles in making the hardest decisions in your life, which results that will come into effect. Juno is definitely quite a cool character, and yet she remains attached to an awkward kid like Polly Bleecker, who seems to spend most of the movie sporting a gym uniform with the colors maroon and yellow. Kind of reminds me of my Centennial Regional years, when our uniforms used to be maroon and yellow. And sure, her choice in men are questionable. We could get past that, just like her decision to give her child up for adoption from potential parents from a classified ad she just skimmed through. So we could see her vulnerability, but then again, we could kind of understand it. I mean, I don't think she ever anticipated in getting pregnant. I mean, they were only just doing kind of like an experimental sex. But she didn't really actually ever anticipated that she was going to get pregnant, nor that Polly Bleecker did it to her on purpose. I don't know, did the condom break? Did he thought that, oh well, one day of unprotected sex isn't going to make a difference? I guess he kind of learned his lesson too. Or at least I hope he does. The story can be a bit predictable in the end, but at least what's refreshing is how the scenes pan out. The people in Juno's life have varying degrees in how she interacts, which may not always be logical, but still provocative. You know, they speak in these kind of lingo terms, and they use like poetic nonsense, like shizzle my fizzle, or like when she's pregnant, she's like, oh, I'm preggy in the eggy type of thing. You know, they speak in that kind of lingo, which may seem a bit unnatural, but provocative and quite interesting. Never generic. So at least we'll give credence to that. The supporting cast also delivered great performances. J.K. Simmons is wonderful as her fair but firm father. Janney is excellent as the strongly opinionated stepmother Bren, who can never forget when she was getting an x-ray examination and the x-ray technician says something snarky and then Bren just snaps at her. I mean, really puts her in her place. Bateman, you know, as much as I kind of demonized him a little bit for being the irresponsible douchebag, I mean, you know, he still puts in a great performance as Mark, the man-child who writes commercial jingles, and Jennifer Garner as his wife, who is more than willing to commit to raising the child. And, you know, Michael Cera is still charming as the awkward boyfriend who definitely has a soft-spoken voice and a great level of kindness and support to Juno. And, you know, you can feel his pain, too, as he didn't really ever intend it or meant to cause such heartbreak from Juno, even though, yes, he does admit his responsibilities and it was an accident, but at least he didn't take it like as in a passive-aggressive, like, oops, and then just go on with his life. No, nothing like that at all. I mean, he actually does stick with her. But just like her, he's not ready for a commitment either. With its steady flow of one-liners, the jokes are definitely not designed for shock. There is swearing in this movie, but it's not excessive. There might be some grossed out humor, but it's not gratuitous or way too frequent. But through this journey, we experience the joys, the laughter, and the tears, and the angst with a solid message that never gets preachy. Not all journeys end with rewarding results, but I'm just glad this one did. I kind of highly recommend people see the movie Juno, because I'm sure all the characters are, maybe with the exception of their weird jingoisms, to be a little bit weird, a little bit awkward. But at least we have some very engaging characters. Each have unique personalities. And there's a lot of good humor within the characters. And their traits are excellent. Very well portrayed. Very well done film. The score, it seems like a mixed bag, since most of the movie seems to have these like weird folk songs in them with the acoustic guitars. That sounds kind of like indie movie type stuff. But then again, hey, this movie was an independent movie. Low budget, quite obvious. But at least this movie actually did score big at the box office. It also had a few Oscar nominees, and including a win from Ellen Page in her performance. So I would have to highly recommend this movie very much. If I was to give it a scale out of 10, I would definitely give Juno an 8. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. But just remember the 3 simple rules. Be kind, be courteous, and please refrain from any rude comments. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Writer saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.